from me.
Dimitri, you get to do this with me this the first time.
Let's do it, boys.
Let's do it together. Let's go.
Okay, there we go. Take it. We'll work on the coordination later. We'll get it down. We'll get it down pat.
Dimitri, do you notice anything about our fits today?
I feel like we took a page out of the boys' book from before. Sam was picking up the red. You now have the black closer to charcoal. I know you also have your very nice jacket on. It's not quite the Sunday best. We're on Saturday, so it's a little early.
No, well, you were. We were joking around earlier about a video that I sent you, and you're like, man, but you weren't wearing the jacket, so I don't know how special I feel about this.
Yes.
Well, now I'm wearing the jacket for you, buddy. So
exactly. Thank you. For everybody at home, it's my birthday, but we'll get that aside. It's not about me. We're here for the players. Thank you. We're here for Cloud9 and Choncc Chortle and for the rest of the Summoner series as we're getting through the draft here. Mark, what are we expecting here from Cloud9, who are the higher seed? We've already seen upsets today.
Man, Cloud9? I mean, like, I feel like I should be asking you that question here. You're putting the spotlight on me.
You're the big Cloud9 fan, dude. You have all the merch. You literally specifically went and go and bought some of their jerseys. Come on, dude.
Yeah, well, they sent me merch, man. I did one of their shows.
Oh!
So
Okay, well, hold up, everybody at home. Not a bias caster. You gotta get that out of the way
trying to keep
quick.
the bias, on the table. I'm putting it aside, trying to look at everyone in the same spotlight here. Now, Cloud9, they clearly have identified after their time playing with Molly, know that you can't let them have the Katarina. It is too big of a risk. Also taking away a bunch of utility carries like the Ashe and the Senna away from Nori. They go for the Camille priority, giving it over to Zella so we can have a great time split pushing. Choncc Chortle immediately answered with Luan's Renekton and the Corki as well.
I feel so weird about Katarina because we're always like, you can't play Katarina in these competitive matches. The champion is just too coin flip. It's not, very consistent. And then we see players like Molly. We see players like Truth bring it out, and we're like, I guess it's good enough. I guess we'll have to see what happens. So, talking about champion picks, though, this Nami has been, I think, one of the most breakout picks. We're talking about last chance qualifier and here now. This champion has been really, really strong, and I'm impressed to see more of specifically Hestia, who's been, again, a fantastic support, pick it up.
Wow. Okay. When we were considering kind of like the last jungle options for Black Camel, you're thinking, okay, well, you're playing against Cloud9, who have a really strong team fight setup with Jarvan, Xayah, and Rakan, but then you also have a global pick setup specifically to accelerate Zolo in the Baron lane. Now, while Luan can handle Camille in the early game because it has a better laning phase, the later the game goes, Camille will be able to outlane the Renekton if it gets ahead. However, Jax is one of the few picks that can withstand a Camille in the side lane. And, beauty of Wild Rift, junglers can split push if they time themselves around objectives, right?
They could just take TP too.
Yeah, they'll just take TP and they'll just funnel themselves resources. And that's exactly what Black Camel does.
It's been awesome. And you're looking at this is a new addition to the roster, right? Choncc Chortle were rocking Tribe 80s before, but Black Camel is a player that Molly has played with in the past and a couple of the other Wild Rift events before the Summoner series. And so far, I think Black Camel has been a really awesome addition to this team, replacing such big shoes in 80s.
Well, Choncc Chortle are going to split farming experience between 4 people, just getting that first wave shove in. Look at the aggressive vision that Luan is putting down into the blue quadrant of Tarzan's jungle, whereas the rest of the Dragon Laners are going to have to take a late walk to the park back to the Dragon side of the map. Now, watching for Tarzan, I'm curious to see if he's going to go for early skirmishes towards the bottom side of the map or if he wants to beeline it towards the top side, knowing that Zella needs to be accelerated in this matchup.
We're looking at this. I mean, Zella has taken Barrier Ignite. There's nothing more aggressive than this. There's no flash. You're looking for the fights. You're looking to do this. And when we're looking at this composition, right, we have a composition where Meals does have the ultimate is playing this TF. I'll hold that. I think Nami, Hestia taking a bit of damage here. Ignite does go down, but Griff with the Blade Collar able to get out, use the heal.
That bubble missing onto Griff and Jacket could have been lights out for Choncc Chortle, thankfully. They're able to walk away. Surging Tides and Ebb and Flow is going to keep Hestia topped off, walks back for that honeymoon fruit. But look at this, Tarzan is prepping for the dive, but Black Camel is on the same side of the map, Dimitri, so it means that he is here to protect. But
oh no,
Black Camel not going to have a lot of help right away. Looks like Soda Crab is going to be a contestant. This is going to be a huge fight, Dimitri. Gold card on Nanami.
Wait a minute. Whoa. Blade Caller? I mean, it doesn't kill. Corki just barely goes down there. Nori, they're following up on this. That's a great bubble. Try to stop Tarzan. But Mally is able to follow up, continuously putting out more and more of these bombs. Meals is so low. The barrier saves him. And Hestia, we're talking about supremacy. Support gap all the way. Ebb and Flow is able to find the final kill there. And Cloud9 able to fight back against Choncc Chortle.
Hestia is the ultimate battle Nami. I mean, when you think of Namis that are, just trying to heal the Dragon Laner behind the back, Hestia is the one that is pushing forward, leading the charge always. Taking a look at this replay, Cloud9, they're the ones that have the first collapse to this, but watching this, Griff is a little late to the party and is half health chunked here. So a lot of burst damage already destroying Meals in the first part, or I should say Jackie in the first part of the fight, and everything starts to look good, but then they're baited by this barrier from Molly, who pulls it on the light. Oh, we're gonna get another fight, Dimitri.
Keep going. I mean, there's the Destiny Gate. Jackie uses the Battle Dance to be there, but Black Camel just there to shadow off on the gank. And Rafa, it is just non-stop fighting, but they're playing around their bot side, which is something that, I mean, we really haven't seen in terms of the Baron lanes going up there, setting themselves up. That's why we've seen things like the Olaf, things like the Fiora. It's kind of strange to us. We're like, okay, we're playing around these large carries, but it is just constant fighting around the Dragon lane. We saw it yesterday there for Cloud9 and Tribe, constant aggression. But Luan now, a little bit of a dangerous position, but you're not trapped in here with me. You're with me. I'm here with you, buddy. We're here to fight.
Zello wanted to use a Hextech Ultimatum, gets Luan's Dominus out. Nice trade. But Luan is going to be slightly more happier about that because the Ignite was also used. So Luan is now rocking a Summoner advantage, still is able to come back and heal up back to full. Hestia's roaming on over to support, making sure that Luan can get this last shove in. I want to direct your attention to something, Dimitri, because we talked about Meals and Molly being our highlighted matchup. Molly has 3 kills, and he has a looted Zeko already before 4 minutes.
Yeah, that probably feels about right for the matchup when we're looking at this. I mean, Twisted Fate does have the Electrocute to play a little bit more aggressively, but with the Rod of Ages, you're not going to be as aggressive. And we saw, again, that early skirmish in the river was just so important. And eyes now moving over to what the supports are now doing, because Corki was playing rather safe under the turret, especially since Jackie was there, but it allowed for Hestia to move top lane, grab vision, and now they can start up on this Herald. And I wonder if they're going to try and make a trade. They're playing both sides of the map right now. They have the package with Corki. This is an interesting spot, I think, for Choncc Chortle.
Yeah, you saw that Choncc Chortle was cheating towards the dragon side of the map, ready to do a 3-man. Oh, Tarzan tries to come in to steal the Rift Herald, but Hestia is able to secure it away. Package from Nori allows him to rejoin the fight. Tarzan locked in inside his own Cataclysm, going down over to Choncc Chortle. Jackie trying to save the fight, but it has to escape, and Luan comes in with the flash, slice, and dice, and wipes out Meals.
Rafa, Hestia does it all. She wins the Battle Mage fights as the Nami. She gets the Rift Herald for her team, and they immediately summon here now. They're going to get their cake and eat it too. Grab a mid turret. They lose the first one here, thanks to Griff. I think some heads-up maneuvering from the new AD carry here for Cloud9. But they're going to lose so much, and now get the Mountain Drake on top of that. Choncc Chortles, they're playing. We're talking about Angry Gamers and Cloud9. Choncc Chortle do not want to get sent home early.
Choncc Chortle looking to upset a lot of teams in this tournament already. I mean, taking one game off of Enemy should have already signaled that this team was not here to play around, and it's just so close. Tarzan actually had a beautiful timing on that flag and drag to knock up Black Camel, but Hestia getting the last auto attack means the Rift Herald is theirs, and then by the time Cloud9 are trying to join in, the battle is already over, so they expend so many of their cooldowns, which means there's not as many to escape from when an angry crocodile comes in through the mid lane.
It was a really good set of flanks there coming out from multiple members there of Choncc Chortle, and I think now Cloud9, they need to step back from the fight, step back from the fight club that is currently happening, and kind of take stock of what's happening in the game, because they're constantly being led around the map. They're not able to make proactive plays, and especially as Twisted Fate, I think it's very difficult to try and do anything and be that burst mage your team may want you to be when you're so far behind. So they need to be able to calm down, calm themselves down, take a little bit of a slow down, say, hey guys, please, can you guys at least slow down the aggression just a tiny bit so we can catch our breaths? Other than that, I mean, Choncc Chortle, they're going to keep going. They're going to keep the tempo up.
Dimitri, you bring up a good point, but you already broke one rule.
Uh-oh. Oh, we don't. That's right. We don't talk about it.
Yeah,
that's
we don't
right.
talk about Fight Club, bro. Come on, man.
Mm-hmm. My bad.
Choncc Chortle, it's only slightly had 2,000 gold. Luan getting locked down by Zello. Here comes the cavalry with Meals. Gold card Express. Tarzan getting the slow down.
Oh.
Cataclysm locking in the Crocodile for the belt. And just like that, Cloud9 are going to be able to pick up a kill for themselves in this mid-game.
I've loved this combo of Nami and Renekton. The one thing that Renekton tends to lack out on is just a bunch of movement speed, and while Hesia is not able to save, it's a good catch there for Cloud9. It allows for Zello to get a little bit more resources, but we're going to need to see more and more of that action from Cloud9, replicate that success, because right now, they're just picking off certain members. They're just getting small table scraps where they can, and it's not going to assuage a lot of the bleeding that's going on. They are still about 1,500 gold down. It's 3-7, but Tarzan, I don't know about this one, bud.
He is really tanky. He's just trying to buy time. Jackie comes in with a quickness, charming up Nori. Flashed away means that he'll be able to survive the onslaught of this fight. Black Camel diving under tower to trade 1-for-1 onto Meal.
Zello.
Black Camel still makes it out alive and now redirects his attention towards Zello. And Zello, you've arrived way too late to the fight. He gets bounced out of the club. And Griff and Jackie, they're all alone under this tower. Choncc Chortle just corralling like a bunch of hungry hyenas looking for the scraps, and they tear them to pieces.
Oh man, that was such a close fight, and it felt like kind of like it should have been a Cloud9 win. There's Nori with no mana. Molly as well is kind of hurting to get some damage down. That should have been a Cloud9 fight, but a few things just do not go right for them. They lose out on the turret, and Choncc Chortle are looking to upset again as a lower seed against Cloud9.
The way they herded around that tower looked terrifying, dude. That was like... That was some... I don't even know. that was like something on National Geographic when you see, like, you're out in the savannas and then you just see the poor gazelle being crowded by a hungry pack of lionesses, and Choncc Chortle just like, ah, yes. Food for the king. Choncc Chortle.
Usually it's a little more quiet, right? They're hiding in the tall grass. They're not doing too much. You see the eyes of the tiger just slowly peek out from the grass, and then they pounce. But, I mean, Choncc Chortle, they're playing like an aggressive pack of hyenas. We're talking about psychopath mid laners. I'll have to hold that as Jackie. It finds the engage onto Luan. It's the ultimate coming out from Tarzan. And he's a pretty tanky boy, but finally goes down right outside of the turret. And in the meantime, Choncc Chortle are finding something in Dragon Lane. Yeah,
look at the resources where Cloud9 are dedicating to their split push. They take out the second tier turret on the Baron side of the map, but only 3 from Choncc Chortle are dedicated to the split push on the Dragon side of the map. Black Camel is soloing the Dragon by himself, and you also had Molly holding the mid lane before he finally had to answer the wave that was coming in through the Baron lane. So Choncc Chortle, I mean, Cloud9 are trying to find something back to put themselves in this game, but still, it's a 4,000 gold deficit that they have to work against.
And surprisingly enough, I think this is a really cool spot in the game for a lot of people at home. They might say, they look at the gold, they look at the turrets, they look at the dragons, and they're saying Choncc Chortles are in a pretty demanding lead. You look at the scoreboard, you're like 12-4, this game's over. But if you look at the geography of the map right now and what's coming up for Cloud9, I think this could be a potential way for them to still come back. They still have good comeback tools when it comes to their just what their champions can provide. You're looking at Zello, you're looking at Tarzan, and Jackie so far has been a really sick recon in this game, and I'm looking forward to what they can do to come back in this. Now with that such a long lane in the Baron lane, this could be a very dangerous position for Choncc Chortle to kind of protect for it.
You also have to think that with so many turrets still hanging up that Choncc Chortle have, Cloud9 can knock them down. That's a way to swing gold right back and put yourself back into stabilization against Choncc Chortle. Zello doesn't quite have a lot of combat effective items. It's just a Trinity Force working towards the second one. We have an engage, though, in this jungle quadrant by the river. Already, Molly trying to fight back with that Mega Inferno Bomb, and Zello is pushing forward into the heart of the backline, eliminating Nori,
Griff?
one of the carries Choncc Chortle, Luan, however, doing his due diligence, already eliminating Griff and Meals. So now it looks like an exchange of damage dealers, but Choncc Chortle, they trade one up because Cloud9, they don't have Meals and Griff anymore.
This feels so weird for Choncc Chortles, and when you're, I mean, Charmer's like, hey, we got some good drafts here potentially. I was a little worried that there's not enough crowd control tools from the side of Choncc Chortle, but they're making it work. They're causing Cloud9 to walk into them and consistently keep fighting, and it's working time and time again. This is a different look for Cloud9. Usually is the play for the king strategy, play for Tarzane, drop mid, walk for your jungler. But this time, as Jarvan didn't get as many resources, the early fights were just not there, and now Cloud9 find themselves at a pretty large deficit, even with starting the fight. They were the first ones to the punch.
I think everyone can understand that why Cloud9 want to now play around Griff, because if we saw his frontline Xayah performance against Sentinels in their series yesterday, we know how powerful this marksman player is for this squad. And Tarzan, you know, a lot of people will give him flack in the past for having a huge ego and saying, no, I'm the best player, everyone should play for me. Whenever he is willing to drop resources for other players, it's because he has the absolute most trust in his team. Anytime that you've seen him play in other competitive games with, League of Legends, and he'll rave and talk about how much he loves working with some players. And so, Tarzan is a hard player to please, but if you have his trust, he will do everything he can to keep you alive.
It's all about trying to be the absolute best, and that's what he's trying to go for. Now, Black Camel, you talked about this 1v1 matchup as Jax can take control, but Zello is just barely able to survive. Jackie is here. The entire squad is coming over, and the three-pointer from Molly makes it a 1-for-1 trade right there. Excellent job coming out from both teams and a supreme display of talent. And I don't think we're done here, Rafa.
Oh no, Jackie was trying to recall on the last second,
Nori?
but doesn't get out alive. Hestia and Nori trying to 2v2 this one. Tarzan throws down the Cataclysm, but Nori's just pumping out so much damage. Griff can't take him down. It's a triple for Nori.
And the entire time, we didn't even get to see it. Luan 1v1s Meals. So now it allows Molly, who is so far away on this Ziggs, able to blow up an inhibitor. Luan is here. They try to ping for Baron. I think they're going to get this last tier 2 in the Baron lane and look to start up the Baron. Choncc Chortle are winning on every single part of the map. Mechanics, macro, they're doing it all here, Rafa.
Choncc Chortle up almost 9,000 gold. We even had an isolated 1v1 between Luan and Meals. Meals trying to just get out of harm's way, but this is one fed crocodile. There's no simple way of just being able to deal with it. 1,000 HP on the Baron. It is secured by Black Camel. Luan trying to pick off Meals once again. Flashing coming out from both the jungler of Choncc Chortle as well as the Baron laner. Huge bomb on Meals is not going to be enough to take him down, but Black Camel still on the run. Was looking for that blast cone plant. Nice heads-up play for Meals, being able to spot it and get out and away, but I still think Meals is going down. He sees him. He's dead, and we still got more fighting in the mid lane, Dimitri.
Oh my god, they're just keep on fighting. Luan gets a TP back into this, and right now, Rafa, a huge blade collar from Griff is not enough to keep Cloud9 alive in this game. Choncc Chortles, they take game 1 of our lower round quarterfinals, and they're looking to go all the way. They're looking to take on enemy. They're looking to take on Immortals. And Cloud9, Rafa, this is a dangerous game they're playing.
And the way that Choncc Chortle had this Jax prepared for Zello's Camille, it's awesome. Because Luan, as the Renekton, can hold down Zello in the early game. But if for some reason Cloud9 are able to execute on their plan and start playing around Zello, which they did, they said, okay, Luan, you don't have to deal with the Camille anymore. We got to stall the game out for a little bit. Get Black Campbell to 2 items, which they did. They farmed him up. Trinity Force, Blade of the Rune King fully online. Boom! Now it's your turn to play against Zello. And to their credit, Black Camel was about to win the 1v1. Jackie comes in, tries to save Zello, but Black Camel holds on, gets a little bit of an alley-oop from Molly from the downtown Mega Inferno Bomb, gives him that last bit of burst damage to trade 1-for-1. The fact that that was possible is absolutely astounding, because now it forces Cloud9 to come up with a new draft strategy, whether they need to deal with this Jax and have it on the ban list if they want to continue putting Zello into a split-pushing matchup win con, or if they have to change who they're going to play around for the next game.
you have to think also what happened yesterday. It's kind of like history repeats itself, where Zello is on these carry champions. We saw them play up against Tribe, and they did play that Fiora, and then they just got bodied really hard.
Mm-hmm.
Cloud9, to be fair, it is Tribe Gaming. A lot of people get bodied by them, but so far we're talking about the draft strategy. Look at their bans. It's
Right.
two marksmen to try and get this away from Nori, and it's at Katarina. There's only so many of them, and especially when they're prepping on blue side, they're trying to play around Zello, who I think is still a remarkable carry when allowed to be. The resources just weren't there. We were hyping up Molly, but it was running towards the bot lane. We don't really care about Meals and Molly anymore. It's time for Nori and Hestia to fight fist to fist up against Griff and Jackie.
If you take away the Katarina just so that you can get rid of another ban, I mean, there have been teams that have been successful in dealing with Choncc Chortle's Katarina. You know, it is not impossible.
Nope.
I know it is a very scary thing to deal with, but as we take a look through our Verizon highlight replay package once again for this game 1, you'll just get to see that the scaling draft that Choncc Chortle were able to put out for themselves, the fact that they were able to compete within the early skirmishes as well, spells a little bit of a difficulty for Cloud9 to deal with going into the second game.
And remember, they had time to watch. They had time to watch who their opponents were going to be, right? They got to see the grilled cheese Choncc Chortle matchup. They got to see how they're playing on the day could be different from this. And I'm not going to lie, when I saw this early game coming out from Cloud9, it was some missed skill shots. It was a little bit of non-communication from some members. It felt like this was just first game jitters for them. So I don't want to say that they're quite out of it quite yet, but we're looking at Choncc Chortle. They're riding the momentum from their win, and they're still playing excellently. Especially, I want to kind of call back to our power rankings when we were doing them before the regionals. We all had Cloud9 pegged below certain teams. Now, Sentinels have obviously been the biggest upset in terms of our power rankings, but I mean, Cloud9, we said, hey, this is still a strong team. We want them to find an identity, and I think they're still trying to iron that out here.
Now, Cloud9, definitely we have been the biggest fans when Griff is put at the forefront of receiving a lot of resources. Now, we joked about the frontline Xayah was a thing of beauty, but in that game, even though Griff wasn't necessarily put as a focal point for that squad, Griff was able to reap the benefits because of successful skirmishing and plans from Tarzan and Meals. They were both on the same page of planning which lanes to hit. They dove the Dragon lane over and over and over again until they put Rest and Beginnings out of commission for the rest of Game 2. And then going forward, Zello is able to have a better time into the split push matchup against MTS. Therefore, Griff just gets the scale off nicely. But I think going into this next game, I mean, we've seen Griff pull out a Draven before, if I'm not mistaken. Come on,
do it, guys! Come on, bring it.
This is Cloud9's potential last game. One more loss, and their championship run is over. It is done. So, that there's two schools of thought that you can go into this. One, you can go for a really safe, comfortable scaling composition. You have to then take it easy and be more controlled for the earlier skirmishes because you don't want to give away too many advantages. You have to ensure that you always have the numbers play and numbers advantage. And when you have Twisted Fate, yes, you have point-and-click stuns, but you can always wait until you're level 5 before you go for those plays so you can always have perfect information of the map and be able to identify which are winning fights. Or you go all in for the early game and you give everyone some...
Burger flip it.
Yep.
Burger flip it, boys.
That's right.
Just go for it. We're talking about Griff, right? We're looking at how the supports are playing. We're looking at how both of these marksmen are kind of going at it. And I'm looking at Griff stats so far. It's been a lot of Kai'Sa. We're talking about 5 games played, 4-1 on the champion. And we all remember that Lucian game against Sentinels in the last major. Mm-hmm. That play was pretty sick. He's holding off multiple members in the top lane. He's making all of these relentless pursuit dashes that are incredibly aggressive. We haven't quite seen that. And we're looking at how the marksman meta is shifting. We were looking at Ashe and Varus as well. need to be able to take it to these two. You need to make Nori uncomfortable. Make sure that if Hestia is going to leave, you're playing for these dives. And I know you mentioned it there that you go for these level 5s and you try to play with perfect information. But right now, for how some of the top teams are playing, we're playing it on level 3. We're playing it on level 4. We saw it against Sentinels. We saw it for Tribe in both of their series yesterday on the stream. It was move on level 4, dive, make sure that the bot lane duo on either team is missing out on waves under the turret, and either try to repeat that and find kills, or keep manufacturing leads, pressuring this bot lane so they can't actually interact.
There you go. Come on, guys.
I mean, yeah, come on, take the free notes. Take the free notes, boys. Come on.
That's always the funny thing of how like you go back and review. Obviously, you know, the only thing that we as casters wish that we could get, you know, information on is what are comms like, because obviously plans and drafts can, you know, all be set out and written down on paper, but it comes down to what is the communication like, right? How well are things being executed, how calm and the kind of the decision making is, and the priority list is being set. Maybe win cons being established and, you know, constantly reminded update is like, hey, we don't need to take this fight right now, or we have to take this fight because we get outscaled, you know, if there's always someone that is doing that for the squad and making sure that the morale is being kept at a solid level. Mental is also in check as well. And just to give an update on everyone at home, you know, players are still just getting into lobby for this second game. We will be into draft ASAP once all the players are readied up. Going into this second game, I know we've talked a lot about Cloud9 because they are the ones on the back foot, but I want to flip it over to Choncc Chortle because I want to remind everyone as well that Choncc Chortle is a team made up of players that, as Alk Battery pointed out earlier, they have been subbing for other teams, and they've been put on other teams. They were put together at the last minute for the last qualifier going into Major 3, and they have just been drastically improving ever since.
There are 4 out of the 5 players on this team are substitutes. Nori was a sub for Grilled Cheese, who have obviously made it to multiple of these majors. Hestia was a sub for Tribe Gaming. I mean, that is no surprise. He's really good at support. Molly was a sub for Cloud9, like we had spoken about earlier, and Black Camel was there when Zella was unable to play in one of their matches. So almost all of these players have been on top 8 rosters, and it kind of feels like we took bits and pieces here, and it's a little bit derogatory to call them the B team. I feel like with what they've shown, not only in Last Chance qualifier, but here now, they don't deserve to be the B team anymore. These are not just subs anymore. These are great players in their own right, and they're showing it in their play, upsetting higher seeds and continuing to be here in the North American Regional Championship.
They have definitely proved their worth and value coming this far, as with enemy eliminating this puts Choncc Chortle among the potentially top 4 if they compete and take out Cloud9 in this series, or at least a top 6 finish if they exit right here. Now for Cloud9, they still are on the blue side. They're maintaining the Cinnaband, but I imagine that we'll probably see an Ash ban as well, but maybe the third ban will change. Okay.
Oh.
Maybe I'm wrong.
We're sticking to our guns here. They're sticking to, I mean, they stuck on blue side. They're staying with what kind of worked for them. And I like this from Choncc Chortle. We didn't get to touch on the bans too much, but focusing on this Dragon lane, specifically on Jackie, who I know yesterday I was talking about it, and it kind of backfired on me as a caster curse. Unlucky me. But, you know, we're talking about how Jackie has kind of played it all now, right? We're talking about enchanters with the supportive the supportive Soraka and Lulu, but also plays the Lux, which is just a high burst damage mage, and then the Thresh has looked by far and away one of the best champions for this young player. And I wonder if they're going to hit the Rakan, because even in that loss, again, Jackie looked good. He was using even in bad situations, just to peel off for certain members, was using the ultimate to keep certain members alive and then say, hey, look, I'm going to just battle dance out and, you know, cut our losses here.
Cloud9 definitely have a lot to look forward to, but the Renekton is going to be the switch up. So they're going to let the Ashe go, knowing that Choncc Chortle put a lot of priority into just getting powerful, magic damage focused backliners or Molly and Nori in that Ziggs Corki combo. And the way you typically beat those compositions is you just gotta brute force your way through the first few minutes of the game. You gotta start hitting them before they start getting those item spikes online. And Cloud9, if that is the direction they go, then I'm really expecting some really aggressive champions. I imagine Tarzan might go to the Lee Sin versus the J4 so that he can have a little bit more carry potential and playmaking possibilities in his reigns during the early game.
Rafa, I think I think that's the wrong champion for Tarzan. I don't know if Tarzan's going to play the Lee Sin. I think you have to think of another AD jungler that is very aggressive and likes to be a carry. Not Lee Sin. The one he's made his name on.
I know I know you're pointing toward the Graves, but it's like
it hasn't been great, but I mean, keeps pulling it out.
We'll have to see, because like Graves does take a little bit to come online. He can fight early, but Tarzan goes for the Bloodthirster build, and so it makes Tarzan unkillable towards the later part of the game. But Lee Sin is something that you can just really get into Choncc Chortle's face early on. I like, though, that Cloud9 are actually going with this Ashe pick, giving Griff a little bit more engage possibilities once he is level 5 with that Crystal Enchanted Arrow. Also global potential. Choncc Chortle answering back. They get the Camille this time around, alongside Hesia on the Rakan.
So now, Rafa, we get to be at that really cool point for Cloud9. What flavor of draft do we get from them? Do they pick a support like a Lulu and try to pick their jungler here? Or are they going to be a little bit more dangerous and try to pick for something of an engage? But it seems like I got half of it right, and 50% is still a failing grade. So I'll have to talk with production afterwards about what we're doing with that. But okay.
Our director has given Alec Battery an honorary A for at least getting the Lulu right. Cloud9, so this is indicating that they are going for a little bit of a scaling factor into this game. They want to take things slow. They don't want to lose through the early game and flip kind of their advantage at that point of the game. Because Cloud9, when they have the right tools, have shown that they can be powerful team fighters as well. Choncc Chortle going to answer right on back with some scaling of their own. Obviously, the Corki going to Molly this time around, and Nori is going to be picking up the Xayah, completing that Lovers duo. The question is now, is Black Camel going to give us the Jax jungle once again to completely scale up? No! Tarzan says, enough of that! Jax jungle's mine now! I'm taking this.
We saw this a really long time ago. It was either in Major 2, I think, when Jax received buffs, and we were like, oh, cool,
yeah,
Jax is back. And then we were like, okay, like, Jax jungle's okay, then we never saw it ever again. It kind of just like was a flash of a greatness a little bit there for them. It is really cool. I'm glad that they're still picking this. I'm glad that Zello is now trying a second attempt at this champion here today, because Zello did play a really good Fiora game and then went up against Tribe and kind of ruined the stats, was undefeated on the champion beforehand. But Choncc Chortle with this R5, Luan, they got rid of his Renekton, and he just slams a Malphite. Who on Cloud9 can withstand the unstoppable force?
You gotta have that flash button ready to dodge out on that ultimate ability from Luan. And as Zello, it's not going to have the best of time against Malphite early on. Ground Slam, reducing the attack speed, makes your life pretty sad.
Not fun.
It's not fun, but Zello can eventually outscale and just completely overtake Luan in the side lane. Choncc Chortle are going to have to figure out a way to deal with that, because we have seen Fiora games, the longer the game goes and the more time that Fioras have to scale, it's just a time bomb. And Cloud9, they went for the early mid-game spike. It didn't work out too well. Now this time, Cloud9, they're buckling down for the long haul, Dimitri, as we go into what could potentially be the last game for Cloud9 in this championship series. Choncc Chortle looking to take this series into their own hands and advance to face against enemy once again.
Oh, such dangerous and such high stakes for both of these teams. Not only, obviously, just double elimination. They're already in the lower bracket. We're getting some new strategies, some little bit of counter jungling. If you would have told me that there's some counter jungling going on, I would have just thought it was Tarzan. They want to stop him from getting this red buff. Corki has the early priority. They're going immediately in onto Jackie. This is a split fight. Who wins the smite battle? It's
Tarzan does.
But I think he's just going to lose his life. Flashes forward. Black Camel super low. It looks like they're going to continue to find more. Wait, what are they doing? Rafa, save me!
Oh my god! It's a fiesta in the bottom quadrant of the jungle. The flip came through. Cloud9 thought that they could have it. Tarzan was able to smite the red buff and goes in for the flash counter-strike off of it, but not enough damage comes through for Cloud9 to be able to beat Choncc Chortle. And taking a look at this, even notice that Jackie just steals the Krugs, just yoinks it real quick. I don't know if that would have helped Black Camel get to level 2, but they were just really, really tunneled on trying to just put Tarzan off of out of commission in the early game by trying to steal this red buff. This was, I don't even know.
You know how we were doing the really cool caster curse thing where we're like, these are the stakes. Cloud9 is going to try and stay safe. They're playing for scaling. They've got the Jax who's going to scale up. And then this happens. The level 1, Choncc Chortle said, no even stakes. We don't want there to be a chance of us losing this one. We want to be as dominant as possible. We want to invade, put Cloud9 on the back foot from level 1. And I think they did so rather well.
Cloud9 were able to get a couple kills for themselves in their mid laner and dragon laner.
It happens again. Oh. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry, Rafa. But this happened yesterday. Tarzan, finish finish the scuttle. It's 9 HP. Happened on Graves. He got it away last time, and it resets. Oh. Rafa would never do this.
Whoa, relax.
Just saying.
It's
memes. You're looking out.
It happens. It happens. No. I'm hard suck Emerald, homie. No teams want me, dude.
Same. Trust, same.
Choncc Chortle, Molly, once again, has 3 kills to start off the early game. So the Essence Reaver is going to be completed very soon. In fact, I think Molly, once he gets one more wave reset in, should be able to walk back with a fully completed Essence Reaver. And so by the time, it's going to have a solid minute before Rift Herald and Dragon spawn.
He's sitting on 1,500 gold. Has to protect Black Camel on this invade. Is level 6. More of these teams are moving over. They're fighting over vision. Tarzan, I don't know if you really want to do this. They're going in for it. That is the... Oh, they're going in for it, but that's package over the wall. Tarzan is able to stun up. I mean, Jackie over the wall with all of the shielding and healing is saving them, and it's only 1 kill, but a lot is invested from Choncc Chortle.
They keep Tarzan alive, though, in that scuffle from Cloud9. Choncc Chortle don't get anything off of that apart from some summoner spells being blown. Choncc Chortle not, unfortunately, lose out on Hestia. The neutral objectives are starting to spawn here, Dimitri, both Rift Herald and Dragon. It's going to be an Ocean one to start off the game with. Molly finally gets a wave pushed in to reset. He's able to spend 2k, so not only an Essence Reaver, but also an extra cloak, just to give him a little bit more crit power as he is working towards that Solari Charge Blade. And once those 2 items come in, this Corki starts hurting real bad.
I like the wave timer there. I love the decision-making coming out from Molly, because we talked about it a little bit earlier there, right? We're like, okay, well, he probably already has enough money to finish this Essence Reaver, but wanted to wait before going back, because it'd probably feel a little bit bad to go back, finish the item, come back, push 1 wave, and then have to recall to base to pick up the package, just in case they were making a play. So, good deciding timers on the wave. I wonder if they're going to try and do something here, just because Molly is here on the Dragon, and the Dragon lane is starting to collapse. Whoa. Molly goes in.
Package comes out, takes out Meals. Tarzan is able to secure the Dragon. Will be able to follow Molly over the wall. As Griff picks up that kill, but Choncc Chortle able to pick up 2 in the exchange.
It's 1 for 1, and now they're going to try to assault in the mid lane. It's Rift Herald, immediately dropped, but no minions. So the fortification buff might come through. It's going to be a little bit tough to try and kill this one out. Tarzan is here. I think they're just going to get first brick at basically 5 minutes.
Niels tries to throw out the Omega Inferno Bomb, trying to dissuade Choncc Chortle from pushing out further. Tarzan, threatening Hestia's life, gets her flash out. He'll stop the further crashes of this Rift Herald. And Cloud9, they are still holding strong, only down 1,000 gold, so Choncc Chortle I mean, both of these teams want to scale up. As we take a look back at this replay, you see how much just damage is coming out. But unfortunately for Molly, he's all by himself. I wasn't kidding, Dimitri, when I said this guy is a psychopath.
Yeah, in terms of the the rating of players and items, I would say Molly is just more so one than minions. Minions are pretty tough. Minions are a little deranged sometimes, especially with their targeting and sometimes not wanting to hit turrets when I'm leaving and not getting the last plate before I back and not giving me extra money. I'm a little bit upset if you can't tell, but Molly is making good use of it. It's controlled aggression while you're doing it. If it was just unbridled aggression where they're just running in every time they're coming out of base, they're pressing the second ability Valkyrie forward, maybe have a problem. But I mean, Choncc Chortle know how to play around it and are utilizing Molly as a damage dealer.
While all this action has been happening on the bottom side of the map, Dimitri, Baron laners have just been quietly scaling up, and if you look, Zello has been getting a lot of chip damage on this turret. And Luan finally has said, enough's enough, Black Camel, dude. I can't hold him off any longer. He's got Trinity Force. Like, my tankiness and my harass and poke. I took Summon Air and tried to keep this man down in the laning phase, and it didn't work. He's still 500 gold above me, man.
Look, as bad as it looks, it was just because we saw Malphite actually walk down into mid lane to try and cover the wave after that huge fight around the dragon. So 500 gold for Fiora. If you're Luan and you're playing weak side Malphite, we take those. I don't know who's doing. It looks like now Zello did just hit 2 vital, so is going to be doing more damage. But without hitting those vital procs, that Bramble Vest is going to hurt a lot more. It's going to basically just be Fiora running into a brick wall. And talk about diving the dragon lane.
What?
That's a really weird ultimate coming out, but it doesn't matter. Hextech Ultimatum means we're diving bot lane once again. Tarzan trying to go for it. Feather Call comes out. They utilize the Feather Storm. Good Blade Caller, but the flash from Nori. Don't know if we're getting much out of this. It seems like both teams wanted to fight, but no one goes down except one. Griff is the only one to fall, and Choncc Chortle, they still want this this turret. They want to go for it.
That was a 3-man Counter-Strike done by Tarzan. Pretty much saved any other members from going down in the exchange. Choncc Chortle, though, still get the prize that they wanted, which was that first, or not quite first brick, but another turret to their name. Black Camel, stop it, bro. You already got the turret. You can't stay for seconds.
Run.
Tarzan might look to punish now. Flash onto Molly. No Valkyrie available. Popping the barrier, but it's not going to be enough. Jackie gets the last killing blow. But here comes Luan. He's got the Unstoppable Force already knocking them up here. Got all the members of Cloud9 crowded up here. But Choncc Chortle, they're the ones on the run in Cloud9. I mean, we talked about it before, Dimitri. They are taking a more scaling, controlled composition going into the later parts of the game. Despite being down 2,000 gold, they're starting to win out these skirmishes, and Zello gets more free time in this Baron lane.
There was just some mis-executed ultimates there from Choncc Chortle, specifically from Luan, who only lands one person on the Unstoppable Force, so only one person is knocked up and is really able to stop, kind of stopped on that damage. And now the second dragon, I mean, very handily going over to Choncc Chortle. Cloud9 not able to get back onto the map fast enough and redeploy, whereas Choncc Chortle, we're coming off of resets. We're able to come back out much, much faster. If that ultimate lands, it's super important. The quality of the Unstoppable Forces needs to be a little bit higher if Choncc Chortle want to find more dominant teamfight victories.
We take a moment here to kind of reevaluate state of the game right now. And once again, Choncc Chortle slightly ahead in this mid game, but when you look at the grand scheme of things, when you look at how the turrets currently line up here for Cloud9, Zello has Trinity Force and Blade of the Ruin King. This man is practically online when it comes to split pushing, and Black Camel normally would try to be someone that can answer the split push after Malphite no longer can, but Black Camels has been very active in a lot of skirmishes, hasn't been able to get a lot of gold for himself, but will find Tarzan in the river trying to fight back, but there is an angry Malphite that gets knocked up down. Beautiful Mega Inferno Bomb from Males, and Tarzan, there's no way he walks out, he lives!
Scot-free, self-made man there, and Tarzan is able to escape from that, and Rafa, I feel like we had a little bit of a repeat of what happened in the last game, right? We see that there's a Camille and a Jax fighting off on a 1v1, and then Jax wins it because Ziggs throws the Mega Inferno Bomb. Deja Vu hits there for Choncc Chortle, and he's able to get out the jungler there for Cloud9, making good with the mid laner.
Yeah, Cloud9 did steal a couple of champions from Choncc Chortle's first draft.
They did it in trade. They did give over the Lovers Duo, which we saw last time for Choncc Chortle, which, you know, hey, they gave it away. Choncc Chortle said, hey, that's a pretty good bot lane. I think we'll take that for ourselves. But if you're Cloud9, who have found themselves now back in the lead after a monstrous early game for Choncc Chortle, we take those.
The way that Tarzan was walking away from Nori, and Nori started flowing out the feathers, and Tarzan was like, stop it! Stop poking me! Started whipping out the... What is it, a lamppost that he's got? I know
yes,
it's not
he does have a lamppost. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. I know it's not a real weapon. Imagine if you had one, though.
Imagine. If you had to carry around an inanimate object that wasn't necessarily a weapon, what's like the best one? Now, I know as Hispanics, we're used to either the broom or maybe something like a
Chancla,
sandal.
baby.
Exactly. The chancla or the sandal is pretty OP for anybody who's experienced it. It is plus 10 in strength and plus 4 dexterity. Not very fun to play with.
Also plus 25 in intimidation because
true.
Especially against other fellow Latinos, then it's the PTSD from when the abuelita would spank them as kids.
It's homing missile, man. That it curves. It's basically an ash ult all in itself. Because if it hits you, you're stunned for a few seconds. You're like, what just happened? Did I just get it with a sandal? It's like, yes.
Yeah, you got to be careful about the flat ones as well. But for Cloud9 and Choncc Chortle, the past couple of minutes have been a little quiet on the Rift because we have to acknowledge that the early part of the game, the early advantage that Choncc Chortle were trying to go for, have really passed at this point. Now they want to scale alongside Cloud9. That's where you want to play into helping Molly get as much resources as possible, helping Nori get as much resources as possible, because these are now going to be your primary carries that are dealing with Cloud9, who have a very fed Meals on Ziggs, a very fed Tarzan on this Jax, and Zello. Someone's got to steal with him on the split push, so Choncc Chortle are hoping to just wipe out Cloud9's 4-man in these fights so that they just don't lose their base while Zello is backdooring them.
And for Choncc Chortle, it's so important for Black Camel's positioning to be on point. The dragon is spawning, but see the pings coming out. Lawan has a feeling something is fishy, something is not quite right, and they pull every single member. And now we get to see that Zello is split pushing on the opposite side of the map. He's on the dragon here. Camel, a little too far there, but I don't know if you want to go for this. They're going to keep going. It's the package there from Molly. Jackie is super low, but the bomb comes out. It's able to execute the first member of Choncc Chortle. Cloud9 are finding more and more wins. It takes a little bit of time for their damage to ramp up, but as I say that, there's 4 players missing now, Rafa. Molly with a triple kill, and the entire time Zello is split pushing in the dragon lane. It's the Baron for them.
Cloud9 wanted to pull Choncc Chortle away from Zello, and Choncc Chortle, they know that someone has to go and answer Zello in the side lane.
Oh, no.
Zello will be able to get this Interpreter turret for free. Zello will now have to back out because he cannot push the Nexus by himself. Choncc Chortle taking this trade for them. Cloud9, if you are them, this is the split push composition. They have a solid wave clear unit in Meals in case Choncc Chortle start pushing down on the base, but looking at how this replay goes, I mean, Zello's able to get 2 inhibitor turrets all while the fight is happening.
And the big thing here is just how far away some of the damage dealers are. That's why we were looking at it. We're like, okay, maybe this is a team fight victory, but there's no one able to stop them. And before this, I was going to say, like, it is all about Black Camel's positioning on this Camille, because if he's able to get into the backline and not necessarily try to play face tank versus Jax, it's gonna provide a huge problem and a boon there for Cloud9, but goes right into the backline. The rest of Cloud9 cannot answer, and even throughout all the healing and shielding, separating Jackie from his team is huge for them. I say that now, Rafa. This is their last fight, potentially.
They go for a knock up onto the backline. Jackie's been knocked up by that unstoppable force. Mega Inferno Bomb gets a lot of damage onto Black Camel. Tarzan re-engaging with that engage. Counter-strike. Helicopter staff in the air, and they're able to push Choncc Chortle back out of the jungle.
They do it, and it is just all of their damage dealers unabated in the backline. No one is able to fight them, and they still lose a turret, but the waves are starting to stack in the dragon lane. There's a Baron lane that you see the pings coming out that they need to answer. Choncc Chortle, they're getting a little bit sloppy. They're trying to barrel down mid lane, and they're forgetting some steps. They're not able to clear their side waves in time, have them appropriately pushing for them.
Cloud9 have now stabilized the gold lead here. It is now dead even. Cloud9, even though that Choncc Chortle they got this Baron, they haven't realistically been able to do much with it. They didn't break open the base. They got one turret in through the mid lane, and then they lost a fight.
And I mean, we're talking about them getting a turret here. It's like, it's just barely after this, right? Because it's 700, Fiora goes to clear the wave. They were pushing in the Dragon lane, but because this fight calls for Luan to be here, not able to do much with it. And it's all about getting those minions under the turret. I think Luan is dead here, unless Hestia is able to 1v9 in some certain way, but that's just Jax beating them down with that lamppost we were talking about earlier. So dangerous. And again, Jackie playing for the king, playing for Tarzan, and giving them all of these shielding buffs.
Zello answering towards the bottom side of the map. Cloud9 on the top side of the map. And this is a great place that Cloud9 are doing strategically for them in anticipation of the next objective, which is going to be the Elder coming up in just a couple minutes. But they want to take this fight. They don't have Luan here. There's no unstoppable force. But Choncc Chortle, they feel confident. Hextech Ultimatum trying to lock up Jackie.
That's one.
Finally goes down to Nori over the wall. But now Tarzan is unleashed. He can just continue going forward. Barry comes out. But Molly is able to save it. Takes out Tarzan, is able to escape. But Zello is trying to end the game. Molly is only half HP. Zello, he's going to keep Cloud9 in the base here. He wants to keep him in this series, but the Guardian Angel will pop. Luan responds in the nick of time with the unstoppable force, and they will stop Zello.
It's so close coming out from Cloud9. They just needed them to wait a little bit longer, but no minions there to help him. The Nexus turret is beaming in his face, and Zello, the hand basically right out of the jaws of victory. Cloud9 are unable to find it, and Choncc Chortle are able to stay in the game just a little bit longer. They're going to start up Baron with their double marksman, get the TP coming in here from Black Camel, and it's only Meals. It's the Enchanted Crystal Arrow now coming for Griff, but I don't know if they're going to be able to get that here in time.
They get the vision on it. Meals doesn't have Mega Inferno Bomb. Maybe he can just throw a straight bomb, but Black Camel, he's got Smite. They secure it. Choncc Chortle able to keep their base alive. No threat of a Baron empowered minions pushing through any of these lanes anytime soon.
They need to take care of this Dragon lane. If Zello ever decides to split push, if they ever decide to hit the TP with an open base, that's it. That's Choncc Chortle going into a game 3 versus Cloud9. And Rafa, we're in a super tense position here where Fiora is going to be splitting on top side. We have an Elder Infernal Drake spawning in 10 to 15 seconds. And need to watch what the damage dealers were doing, because Jax was so big in that last team fight, but every single fight has been predicated on if they can stop Jackie from living, if they can kill this support early, then the fight just goes their way.
Elder Infernal has spawned. Choncc Chortle are first here to the fight. Luan is trying to maintain Zello into the Baron side of the map. And Choncc Chortle might be strong enough. Tarzan, he has vision on this pit. He's going over
for
3k HP, 2k HP. Does he go in? But it's secured by Black Camel. Elder Infernal Soul on the side of Choncc Chortle. Zello, he's dead. I don't even know if he teleported to this fight, but Choncc Chortle have just wiped out Cloud9. That's it! Choncc Chortle! They should have enough time to push into the base. But Dimitri, I think this is it.
Oh my god, Rafa, we have supreme upsets here. 2 of our lower seed teams have won and upset the higher seeds. Sentinels and Cloud9 are taking early exits. Cloud9 have not seen a finish lower than 4th here in the Summoner Series, and they're going to go home in the 5th to 6th place spot. As now we see Choncc Chortle, they're going to play with their food a little bit. They're going to get a little hyphy, but they're going to go on to face enemy in our lower semifinals. All the way from last chance qualifiers to now, this team is just proving to be the ultimate upset.
Choncc Chortle want to make their name as the dark horse of this tournament. We were looking at Immortals as the one that would potentially look to upset the better teams in Tribe and Enemy. They took down Enemy. Tribe kind of gave him a beating and sent him to the lower bracket for a little bit of training. They got to go through Mr. Miyagi's school again, but now I'm definitely excited to see how Choncc Chortle take in the rematch against Enemy. And I know Charmer's got some thoughts about this as well.
Oh man, get him in here, Charmer. I need him.
I absolutely have some thoughts on this, and it comes actually back to you two gentlemen. We were talking before we went live with this series that Cloud9 has not yet finished out of the top 4 until right now. They're eliminated.
Mm-hmm.
They are not going to be in that top 4 position. And then on top of that, we have Choncc Chortle that just squeaked in the last chance qualifier, moving on to the top 4. They're going to be challenging NME, and this is going to be a really big deal, in my opinion, for both of these squads, because these are teams that are looking for those sponsorships. They're looking to be signed. And so if you're on Choncc Chortle, you're feeling really good about these upsets. You're probably feeling pretty good because you took NME to 3 games the last time you met. On the other side, NME looking for redemption in this next round as well. But this series was really, really well executed by Choncc Chortle. I thought that first game they kind of had control of for the entirety of it. This one, Cloud9 started to come back. There was a point where I thought, okay, this is actually really close on gold and on objectives, but they just hung in there. They set up a beautiful team fight around that Elder Drake and then pulled it out, pushed for the victory. So congratulations to Choncc Chortle. I am absolutely impressed with what you have done in the short amount of time that you've been together as a team.
They look just fantastic. And I mean, Molly said that they were practicing. They were saying that they were improving slowly for the last chance qualifier and for the NA regionals. And I think it's starting to show. I think they were kind of maybe understating it a little bit, as they've just found constant upsets against some of the better teams here, some of the more household names in terms of esports. And you're talking about that first game, but the second game, they still had a level 1 plan where they go and invade. They find a huge advantage for themselves. And despite having the, the Enchanter Ardent composition, and in the mid game it was good for Cloud9, they still were able to just barely eke out that last win.
So I don't know what to say here, because like I said, this is the first time we've seen Cloud9 in this position, and it's a little bit disappointing. We thought maybe going into this that it was going to be back to the big 4, right? When you go back to that first major and you think about your top 4, Immortals, Choncc is not in that picture, right? It's Immortals, it's Cloud9, it's NME, it's Tribe, but now it's Choncc Chortle. They have come and they've made a name for themselves. I am really excited. You know me, I'm a big Hestia fan to begin with anyway, so I'm excited to see them move on. But this is where we send off, I guess, Cloud9. I'm really just flabbergasted. I did not think that we were going to be losing them at this stage of the event, but not everybody can win. Not everybody can move on.
No.
Well, I know that Cloud9 taking an early exit is definitely not what the fans wanted to see. But I think, to their credit, I think that game 2 was so close, and I really liked the draft that they went in. It just really came down to one last team fight that decides it for an Elder Infernal Soul. But I do want to point us to that with Choncc Chortle advancing on from Cloud9, we will be now taking on NME in the lower semifinals, which this is a rematch, guys. I mean, NME, they lost a game off of Choncc Chortle in the upper bracket, and then they proceeded to quote unquote reverse sweep him in that best of 3. Choncc Chortle now coming for vengeance.
Absolutely. And we're going to be getting to that series right after a short break, so don't go anywhere. Our last series of the day when we return from this quick break.